Breaking news, new information from the Pima County Sheriff tonight in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. The sheriff saying in his statement just a moment ago, quote, many of you observed an active law enforcement presence at the Guthrie residences over the weekend. That activity will continue tonight and into tomorrow as part of the ongoing investigative process, including the expansion of the search and follow up on new leads. Now, we saw the search of a septic tank at Nancy Guthrie's home over the weekend, and at least 3 deputy sheriffs were seen at Savannah's sister Annie's house as well. Officials left with a bag, and 1 deputy sheriff was seen wearing blue latex gloves. Out front now, Mary Ellen O'Toole, former FBI senior profiler, and Michael Alcazar, retired NYPD hostage negotiator. I appreciate both of you. So, Michael, we were told Nancy Guthrie's home had been turned back over to the family last week, and that happened pretty early on. Since then, though, numerous searches, right? They found a device on the roof that a neighbor had alerted them something might be up there. They had that. Then we saw them at the septic tank. We've obviously, seen them go back and forth many times. The crime scene tape went up, but not for a couple days after the initial alleged abduction. What does all this say to you?
To me, it seems like they probably rushed in releasing the crime scene. Probably they didn't process the crime scene to the best of their ability. I don't know what was the rush in releasing it. And now they're getting more information. Now they have to revisit it. And of course, we saw in the past that people have been in the crime scene. News outlets have been in the crime scene, which has now contaminated the crime scene, which just makes it a little bit harder to process because now you have more DNA, more fingerprints, more footprints in the crime scene. So I think they probably dropped the ball a little bit in releasing that crime scene too early.
Mary Ellen, we just got a new statement in here from the FBI, and I want to note the context here, of course. It's about half an hour after the first ransom note's final deadline. And the FBI statement says, the FBI is not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and the suspected kidnappers, nor have we identified a suspect or person of interest in this case at this time. Now, Mary Ellen, that fits with what would be publicly known, right? But if anybody thought that there was anything private that we weren't aware of, this tries to disabuse us of that notion. How surprised are you at this point that they would say no suspect, no person of interest, no communication?
That is surprising because the point of either not saying that or saying something to suggest that they're looking at a number of people, which essentially would be correct. They're not ruling out anybody, really keeps the pressure on the offender, on the kidnapper, the kidnappers. And that's an important thing to do, to keep pressure on them, because when there's pressure on the person that's responsible, they will make mistakes, or they'll say something to somebody else that'll just blurt it out like, don't they know what they're talking? They have no idea what they're talking about. This is ridiculous, or something else. And that information, that comment could then be relayed to law enforcement. So I'm not sure I understand the rationale behind saying we don't know anything about any suspects at this time. You really do want to keep the pressure on the community.
And Michael, what about the phrasing from the FBI? We're not aware of any contact between the kidnappers and the family. Does that Should anyone put any emphasis on the word aware?
Again, that might just be a ploy. It might just be keeping their cards close to their vest. That could signal maybe that they're close in apprehension. I don't know. But, we're not privy to all the information they're working with. And at this point, we're just really speculating. So,
Mary Ellen, what are they looking for at this point? I mean, they go back into the crime scene, as Michael's saying, maybe they had kind of ended it as a scene too early, right? When they were going back and searching again, going on the roof or going to the septic tank. But what do you think they are looking for at this point? I mean, is there a specific process and sort of how-to list that they're following right now, or is it feel a bit more scattershot?
I doubt that there's a specific checklist that they're looking for, but if they're basing it on prior cases of violent crimes that have involved kidnappings, and not necessarily for money, but for sexual purposes like a sexual assault or a serial murder case, the offender has been in the home of the victim's home before the crime occurred. So checking it out, looking around, seeing what the layout is. And during that first visit to the home, they could have left forensic evidence behind, whether it's fingerprints, whether it's DNA, something like that. So that would not be, that would not be unusual, to be honest with you. So that may be part of the reason that they're inside the home right now, not looking for what was left a week ago, but on prior occasions.
So, Michael, the FBI statement that I read, there is one other part of it that I want to share. They say, the FBI, someone has that one piece of information that can help us bring Nancy home. We need that person to share what they know. By the way, Michael, I'm going to say that is very consistent with what Savannah said in her video statement today, where she didn't address the captors, but addressed just the public and said, please, we need your help, right? It's very consistent with what Savannah said. What do you hear, though, from the FBI when they are reaching out in such a way?
I think similar to what Savannah is saying, they're relying on the public at this point. If, in fact, they don't have any suspects or any persons of interest, they're relying on someone out there that might have the information that wants to help solve this case. So I think they're putting it out there so that people are aware that, they might be motivated by money. And hopefully they will contact the FBI with any information that could lead to the apprehension of these kidnappers.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both very much. I appreciate your time. And next, new details just in about what Trump's DOJ redacted in the Epstein files. A congressman who